You know those slick apps, right? The ones that let you put a bet on the game with just a couple of taps on your phone? It feels so easy, so simple. But what you don't see is the incredible high-wire act of finance, tech, and law happening behind that screen. So in this explainer, we're going to pull back that curtain and show you the complex, high-stakes world that's running just underneath the surface. From where you're sitting, it's as straightforward as it gets. You pick a team, you decide how much you're in for, and you hit confirm. A little while later, you're either celebrating a win or, just shaking off a loss. The whole thing is designed to be as smooth and fun as possible. But what about from their side? For the platform, your bet isn't just one simple thing. Oh no, it's a single data point in this massive, constantly changing equation of risk. It's a liability they have to manage, like right now. So the real question is, how on earth do they manage to pull it all off? All right, let's start with the most obvious and the most critical challenge, the money. Every single day, these platforms are basically walking a financial tightrope just to stay in business. And at the very heart of their business is this constant tug of war. See, on one hand, they have to give you attractive odds. I mean, if the payout's no good, why would you even bother betting, right? But on the other hand, they absolutely have to keep their margins profitable. They have to build in that house edge to make sure that over the long haul, they stay afloat. It's a constant balancing act. And you better believe getting that balance even slightly wrong can be a total disaster. As the source material puts it, improper odds setting can lead to substantial losses. We're talking about one badly priced game potentially costing a company millions of dollars, which could threaten its entire existence. Which, of course, brings up a huge question. What happens if some high roller, a real whale, comes along and drops a potentially company-killing bet on a huge underdog? What do? They can't just cross their fingers and hope for the best, that's for sure. Well, they use a clever financial strategy called hedging. The easiest way to think about it is like an insurance policy. To protect themselves from a giant potential loss on one outcome, they actually place their own bet on the opposite outcome, usually with another betting company. It's all about balancing their books and limiting the damage. So let's see how it actually works. Okay, imagine a massive, unexpected bet floods in for the underdog. The platform's internal alarms go off. This is a huge potential payout they might have to make. So what do? They turn around and place their own big bet on the favorite. Now, no matter who wins the game, their risk is covered. They might not make a huge profit, they might even take a tiny planned loss, but the key thing is they've avoided a catastrophe. But here's the thing, financial risk is really only one piece of the puzzle. Behind the scenes, these companies are running what are basically invisible 24/7 war rooms, fighting off constant attacks on fronts you never even see. And the range of threats they're dealing with is just enormous. We're talking about cyber criminals who are constantly trying to hack their systems and steal your data. They're fighting off fraudsters trying to hijack legit user accounts. They're trying to stop bonus abuse, where people find loopholes to game their free bet offers. And because of all the money flowing through, they're a massive target for criminals trying to launder dirty cash. And if battling an army of criminals wasn't enough, there's more. The entire world of gambling is wrapped in this incredibly complex, always changing web of laws and regulations. What's perfectly legal in one place can be super illegal just a few miles away. The stakes for getting this part wrong are, well, astronomical. Staying on the right side of the law isn't a suggestion, it's a matter of survival. One slip-up, one failure to comply with all the rules can lead to crippling fines or even worse. They could lose their license to operate entirely. Game over. So when you're facing this constant storm of financial, tech, and legal threats, how do you even survive, let alone build a business? Well, you do it by deploying a super sophisticated, multi-layered defensive playbook. This is their high-tech arsenal. They're using advanced data analytics to spot weird betting patterns that a human might miss. They've got AI that actually learns your normal behavior, so it can flag if your account suddenly does something strange. And of course, they pour money into cybersecurity, hardcore identity verification, and they are constantly running risk assessments to find the next threat before it finds them. Now, a huge cornerstone of this entire defense is a process called Know Your Customer, or KYC. And this is way more than just asking for your driver's license when you sign up. It's a mandatory, ongoing process to make sure you are who you say you are. And it's absolutely critical for stopping fraud and complying with all those anti-money laundering laws. So let's break down what's really happening. First, they verify your identity when you create an account. But that's just step one. From then on, their systems are always watching, monitoring all your transactions for anything that looks suspicious, like a sudden giant deposit out of nowhere. If the system flags something that smells fishy, they are legally required to report it to the authorities. Now, this all leads to a massive strategic decision for these companies. Do they build their own army of experts, or do they call in the specialists? Building a team in-house gives you total control, but it costs a fortune in salaries and talent. On the flip side, outsourcing to expert firms gives you instant access to that specialized, cutting-edge knowledge, and it's often a lot more efficient. Okay, we've walked that financial tightrope. We've taken a tour of the invisible war rooms, so let's tie it all together. What is the big picture here? Why does all this stuff matter? Here's the bottom line. The next time you open one of those apps, remember this. You're not just using a simple piece of software. You're interacting with the friendly face of a deeply complex, incredibly sophisticated 24/7 risk management machine. Its main job isn't just to take your bet. It's to analyze, defend against, and survive a constant, never-ending barrage of risks. And in the end, this whole complicated dance is the only reason these companies can even exist. It's what keeps them from going bankrupt, it's what builds trust so you feel safe using their app, and it's what keeps them on the right side of the law. It is, quite literally, the foundation of everything they do. So, I'll leave you with a final thought. The next time you're looking at the odds for a game, what are you going to see? Will you just see a bunch of numbers and a potential payout, or will you now see the tightrope? That delicate, high-stakes balancing act that's happening every single second, right behind your screen.